Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Friday Night Frenzy. I am Nick, where Wonderbat is canon, and the topics, well, they're more like a set of guidelines. Let's kick things into high gear, shall we? One second. I'm just gonna grab something real quick, and let's bring in our wonderful co-host. First and foremost, we have the man who literally has every game on his hard drive. We have Chris. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, how's it going?
Fine and dandy, like sour candy. And last and certainly not least, we have the mistress of ships, the one for whom Majora refuses to wear a mask. We have Bunny Girl Nix. How you doing, my friend? So yeah, we got some cool headlines to talk about. So let's just jump right into them, shall we?
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, that's hysteria.
All right, welcome to Headline Hysteria, the part of the topic where things are meant to be talked about, but not enough for a full thing. Hey, Keely, how you doing? We're just getting into the Headline Hysteria. So we got one major headline, and then we got some chilling to do. So let's just get this major one out of the way. So I know everyone's doing like full streams on this broad, but I don't want to like talk about this too much. So recently, content creator Alana Pierce, because I'm just going to call her that because she's grifted in so many industries. I don't want to honor her with a title. You know what I'm saying, Chris? Like, this woman has bounced around from like IGN, YouTube, different studios. Like, this woman just cannot hold down a job. All right.
Damn.
Like, I'm sorry, but I'm pissed. I am freaking pissed. And it is literally these words. Having a kid can be a situational disability. Girl, I'm trying not to curse within the first 5 minutes, but frick you! It's not.
Well, I mean, it is in the context of playing video games. Your kid is more important than a video game, so therefore you cannot play the video game. But it's that's the semantics of it, though. The like, if she used a different word that meant the same thing, I don't think people would be as pissed off.
And that's the whole freaking point. They use,
but she's literally saying
words are meant to elicit a response.
Yeah, but she's literally saying, dude, she's literally saying her gripe with Elden Ring was that if you have a kid, you're not gonna fucking play Elden Ring. Sorry for the swearing, but like,
it's called life. It's called life.
Yeah, but it's not, though. Like, my life doesn't have a kid in it. Her life does. Therefore, I am better suited to play this game than her.
Yeah, it's called life.
She has a disability.
It's not a disability. Disability is being autistic, having one leg.
No, that's a handicap. A disability is a it's not an infirmary. It's also a handicap. It's a social handicap. It's a inability to read emotional. Well, actually, that's part of the spectrum. But yeah,
I literally collect disability, my friend.
Yeah, but you're not like that's disabled in a medical sense. Like, you can be like, look up the definition. It's not just a medical context. It's you are running at a disadvantage over others. Maybe if that's what she said.
But again, that's semantics in and of itself, because words are meant to elicit a response. It's like in the 2010s when everything was like our culture, or everything was racist, or calling everyone Yahtzees. Like, okay, like, you could justify it in a semantic sense, but
she's not saying she's retarded because she has a kid.
Elicit a response.
Like, she's not saying that, like, you know, I'm crippled or I'm handicapped. What she's basically saying is he's trying
to engage that emotion.
Well, again, like I had said before the show started, like, I watched her original video, and she was saying, in this context, in this game, it is considered a situational disability. And she's right in that regards, because you are at a disadvantage. You basically, like, you can't pause a game. And what's really weird about it is, like, developers are all about forcing players to play games on their terms. And it'd be one thing if this was an MMO. Like, I would be like, well, she's inconveniencing other players, screw her. But this isn't. This is a single player game. They're like, oh, it's multiplayer. No, it's not. If you've ever played Elden Ring, it's not a multiplayer game. Oh, but you could see other... Dude, that's not multiplayer. Like, that stuff's going to come and go regardless of whether or not the game's running. Like, you're not adversely affecting somebody else's game if your character dies or does something else. And
my thing is calling it a disability. It is a slap in the face to people like me. Okay, that is what I'm zeroing in on. All the other and not just trying to rage bait. Fuck yes, you're trying to rage bait. Fuck you. Yes, I realize I'm falling for it, hook, line, and sinker. I don't care.
All I know is I don't like the Souls games because bad design is passed off as challenge. And in my opinion, a pause button would have alleviated this issue.
Personally, I don't care, because here's the thing. Obviously, people like Elden Ring, like the Souls games. They have a fan base. Okay, they are popular. Mm-hmm. They are not. I personally do not like them because I know that I would literally have an aneurysm because I get so frustrated. And you know what? You know what? I don't play them because I know I can't get good. I know I would not be able to do those games. And you know what? Instead of complaining about it, I just don't play the games. It's literally that simple. But for people like Alana, they want to be part of the current thing. They want to be part of the popular thing. And they complain that they're not part of the in crowd. That's all this is. Thank you, Dave. Thank you.
Dave. Yeah,
that's literally all this is. It's victimhood language. It's she's trying to listen to a response. She surely got a response. God damn, girl, you played me like a fiddle. I'll give you props for that.
Well, that's why I was saying I initially agreed with her initial sentiment when she was in the video, but as she doubled down, it was just like, this is freaking weird. Because, like, had she said, if certain people have huge disadvantages playing this game, among them are parents or people that are strapped for time or are constantly being interrupted or something, like that would be like, okay, yeah, she's got a point.
Fair. It's the word she chose, like trying to say it's a situational disability. Like she's trying to put herself in the same league as, again, people with autism, people with one leg,
but autism isn't a situational disability. It's a
disability. That's what I'm getting at. It's a disability. She's like, as I said, calling situation, she's putting herself in the same league, and thus it's worthy of the same sympathy. F that noise. That's what I'm getting on about. Calling it a disadvantage, calling it a temporary handicap, that's fine. Okay?
Yeah, that's the second definition of disability. So she's using the word correctly.
But again, here's the thing about words, okay? As a writer, I'm very anal about words, okay? That's something that, if you watch all this stuff, I'm very anal about words. There are words that literally mean the same thing, but have different severities, okay? Disability, handicap, whatever, okay? Handicap is a less severe word, all right? It does not have the same type of context as just saying disability. If she had said handicap or literally any other word, we would not be talking about this right now. But because she tried to invoke that word, that is why I'm mad. I'm sorry, like, mental health and disability is a bit of a sticky point for me because it's something I'm very passionate about.
I think she'd be damned if she do, damned if she didn't in that situation. Because if she would have said situational handicap in that, then you would have gotten the people that like say it's handy-capable. That's handicap is a slur. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, that's at that point it comes not my problem because I wouldn't have been mad, so I wouldn't have cared. But you gotta appease me, but not appease those other people.
I'm with Dave on this. Like, I'm not simping for her or anything. I'm a raging misogynist, but like, she's got a point. I'm tired of game developers making games that I have to play on their terms. especially a single player game. If there's no pause button, like we've had pause buttons since the 8-bit era.
Literally. That's why I don't like Last of Us. Like, that is literally why I can never finish The Last of Us. It has the worst of the Uncharted game design. Like, Uncharted, I can at least play it because the characters are so charming. And, like, they're just so gosh darn charming. And the story is just good enough that, like, okay, I'm enjoying this. But Last of Us, the story is just generic zombie fodder. And dreary misery porn. And I'm just not into it. And the controls are just so god awful.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I'm sympathetic to the argument, like the pause argument. I'll grant you that. It's just my thing is calling it disability. It's using dramatic language to elicit an effect, and she got the effect she wanted, just a little bit too much. And also, I am just sick and tired of people using pseudo intellectual language to try and justify like simple things. Like, we need a pause button. Like, she could have said, "I need a pause button. I'm a mother."
Yep.
But instead, she had to go on this like word salad diatribe to try and make herself sound smarter than she ever will be.
Dude, this is why
I'm sick of like 2-hour long video essays that can be summed down to "fix your shit, Nintendo."
Well, this is why I have such a big bone to pick with the leftist Marxists that are coming out of our universities now. Because not only do they use these like pseudo-intellectual words, but they start inventing new words. Like, problematic.
Like situational disability. Like, I'm sorry, that is not, trust me, that is not a, please tell me where in the DMV situational disability is listed.
Yeah, I can guarantee you that word, that phrase right there, that those two strung together words, I bet that term is less than a decade old.
And it's not medically accurate. I guarantee you, it is not used in medical fields.
Well, yeah. I would be interested to see what the pseudo because this right here is just something born
distracted
from the
driver is a situational disability. What the hell?
Yeah. What's the hearing one? Is that wearing headphones or something?
Bartender. Being a bartender. This is how ridiculous it is. This is how freaking ridiculous it is. Okay, so being deaf is in the same league as being a bartender. That is it. That like, you can see why I'm raging so much, Chris. Can you see how it's so ridiculous?
Well, it's the word sodomy of what's coming out of our universities now. Yeah, like you said, the victim language. Well, I'm
sleeping is a situational disability. Like,
it's a coma.
Oh, well, silly girl, I hope you enjoy your situational coma. Oh, dear God. Please, let's not give them any ideas.
Well, the reason why it's all victimology like that is because that's Marxism's hallmark, dude. Marxism is all about this hierarchical structure of the oppressed and the oppressor. So therefore, yeah, it's always a victim versus somebody that's inflicting something on someone. And in this regard, it's the victim is the disability, the situational disability, the word that, the term that was invented here. And then, the oppressor is essentially, what's the company that made this one? Whoever made the Souls games, FromSoft or whatever.
FromSoft, Miyazaki.
They're the ones now oppressing players. And it's like, no, that's not how this, the reason they're coming at FromSoft so hard is Miyazaki refuses to do game journal mode. It's because the most game journalists can't even play the games, and they're so popular they have to talk about them and like, we need to dumb them down so that like we can play them. The Dean Takahashi achievement.
No.
So, Nix, what's your take on all this? You've been pretty quiet.
I think it's all been out there pretty much. Like, I think she just used a different word. Like, I agree that single player games should have a pause menu. I think that's just smart game design, honestly.
Yeah, or just
you don't have
game design.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're not going to be playing multiplayer, then I don't see the point in not having a pause menu. It's just,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, it's dumb. Well, there's a
Yeah,
lot
I think
of
we're on the
makes
same
sense.
page. I think we're on the
software.
same page here then.
But I agree that yeah, just should have used different words, less words maybe. Just, yo, I'm a mom. Can we have a pause button?
Yeah, like most people would sympathize with. I probably would sympathize with it. I might not agree with it, but I might at least have empathy for her. But like with this, it's just.
I will say though, as someone who had to partially raise my nieces for quite a while, I've become fairly good at keeping them entertained while also playing video games.
Oh,
So,
you give them the other controller, but don't plug it in.
no, not even that. Like, I mean, like, my youngest, she enjoys, like, using my arm, like, as she calls it, broomstick, and having me, like, flex her into, like, above my head.
That's
And just,
adorable. That is
uses
adorable.
she uses me like a jungle gym, and I have had to become very, very good at like playing while I'm being climbed on by a 3-year-old.
Wow. Okay.
Get good.
That actually is worthy of acclaim, Nix. Like I gotta give you props. That is pretty awesome.
Jungle Gym play achievement unlocked. Play the game.
I've had to give the controller to my 3-year-old. I want to play now. I want to play.
Yeah.
All right. Let's
I can't play this game because I have a kid climbing all over me. Get good. It's a skill issue.
Get good, Scrub. Get good. Try playing Elden Ring while having a kid around. That is a hardcore mode if there ever was one.
Dude, have you seen that stupid DLC? I'm sorry, but like I watched people play the DLC, and this one dude just went F this, I'm out. And like blame him. I was like, what the hell is this? Like usually it's like, you know, like I'm obviously a big fan of the Nintendo boss design where you only have to hit the thing 3 times. But like, you know, there's actually like a progressive strategy to it. I don't like bullet sponges, and that's basically what yeah, like that's a fun mechanic, but like I don't like bullet sponges, and I sure as hell don't like situations where the random number generation determined that you are not going to win. Like the guy literally spawns in and he's like less than a second, just boom. And I was like, what the hell was that? And it was like, you died. I'm like, that's like unnecessary. That's like a dungeon master taking pleasure in killing his players.
The best kind of difficulty is the tough but fair, where like you died and you could see like, okay, like I died because it's my fault. Like,
exactly.
Not like,
yeah, and I'm just like, how like. It's almost like digital masochism. Like these players are like, oh, but it's a challenge. Dude, it's a random number generator. He zagged instead of zigged this time, and that's why you won. Like,
also, hey, Iron Inquisitor, how you doing, buddy?
I hate random number generators so much. I feel like that as a game design should just die. Die in the fiery pits of gaming hell.
We need to make our prayers to RNG Jesus.
Oof.
So speaking of stuff from above, that was actually a very smooth transition. We're gonna do a quick little promo for my book, Lost Kingdom. It is currently on pre-launch on Kickstarter. I almost said Indiegogo, and we're already up to 16 followers. Let's get this thing to 20. It's launching in August.
Oh yeah!
It's a sci-fi fantasy novel set in space. Basically, think like Star Wars, but from Obi-Wan's perspective. I will be probing this every week till we want. So trying to get more eyes on it. With a cover by Xevious. This is going to be a great book. So if you're here, make sure to like the stream, by the way. But yeah, I kind of wanted to speed run through the headlines because, well, you're a little bit loaded in your time, Chris. So we're going to just go to our main topic: game preservation is a scam. Like, you want to talk about words designed to elicit a response? I'm just as guilty. So you want to call me a hypocrite? Go right ahead. But no, Did you say probing this?
Dave,
I don't know. Dave,
Don't clinch.
you are the impaler, not me. But no, we're talking about I like it's something I've seen in the gaming community and like the retro community is people justifying their hobby using the term game. Like I'm preserving game history. You know, as they say, as they have like a wall of boxes full of games they'll never play, or I don't know. I just find the whole game preservation argument to be inherently flawed. You know, like Nintendo shuts down their store, something we always knew would happen. Game preservation! How dare Nintendo do this? These evil people. You know, Chris, what's your take on the whole thing?
Well, my as far as the physical stuff goes, are you familiar with the Japanese term hikikomori?
yes.
I am. I'm kind of I'm in some way an American hikikomori, but I do exit this apartment from time to time.
I saw this heartbreaking documentary on a forensics, basically a cleaner that comes in after someone dies, and he specializes in hikikomori cases. And for people who aren't aware, hikikomori is basically somebody that they're basically a shut-in where they never leave their house, they never go anywhere, they never socialize outside of like social media. And they just are hermits. They live and die in like one room, possibly a living room or a bedroom or whatever, or a small apartment. And then they have no next of kin. They have nobody else to care about them. So when they die, the state has to come in and pick up the mess. And it got me thinking when I saw that, because like it was so heartbreaking as this guy was throwing, like the forensics cleaner was throwing away family photo albums and like Gundam, Gunpla statues and all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, it got me thinking, what is the point of a physical collection that's like, you got those, like what Nick, look what you were saying with the big walls full of all of these games that may or may not have corroded over time. Because let's face it, those battery backups only last about a decade or so.
Yeah.
You've got systems that have capacitors that have expired. So you go to fire up your old Sega Genesis and the thing just doesn't turn on. But like all of this stuff, okay, where does this go when you die? Like, what are you trying? Are you thinking? Is there like a fantasy that like it's going to go into like a museum for public viewing?
I'm sure the people who actually put thought into it, that's kind of what they're thinking. But most people don't even go that far. They just say, oh, I'm doing game preservation, and that is literally hoarding. The extent. They're trying to justify their hoarding. Now, okay, yeah. I do want to say there is a huge difference between people who collect games as a hobby and they, like you can have that wall of games. Like, trust me, I would love to have a wall of games. That would be really cool. But there has to be a purpose for it. Like, oh, yeah. I like N64, so I'm going for a complete N64 set. Okay, that's a purpose. You collect because of the love for it. Like, that's fine. But just the hoarding is
yeah, and it see,
but here's the problem. Video games could very easily become precious moments figures. Like, do you really think your kids are going to want, like for example, how many times did our grandparents try and pass off our collector plates? Like, Spock plates. Oh, our Johnny Cash knives.
How do you like those Hummels?
Like, that's basically what video games are going to be. We may see like, oh, hey, here's this copy of Musha for the Sega Genesis. It's worth $1,000. The kid is going to be like, oh, it's just another Sega game. And they either shovel it in or they sell it at a garage sale for $5. I mean, whoever buys it is going to have a field day, but I don't know.
Well, yeah, but like a lot of us, like, so like, I mean, and I know this is a very morbid subject, but like a lot of us have aging parents, and it's becoming that burden where when they die, we have to go through all of their shit because they wanted to remain autonomous, so they lived in their house, but their house is a freaking mess, and you got to, clean it out to sell it so that you can, make some money off of the equity, because you're not going to live in that place. So you go through all of their shit,
I don't
and
know.
you're more
I don't know. If I
concerned
could
with
get to my
cleaning
parents'
it.
house, I'd live in it.
Well, I mean, I got my own house, so like, but regardless, though, like, you have to clean up their mess, and hoarding is a mess, and you've got all this physical media that may or may not be of any value. Like, a lot of times people are like, oh, this is super valuable, and it turns out to be crap,
Yeah, and the other thing is, it's valuable to a certain group of people, Like let's take this let's say it's a collection of Golden Age comics, okay? And let's say the collection is worth $100,000 but they're not Batman, they're all Golden Age comics, but they're valued at $100,000. And but what they don't tell you is it's $100,000 to the right person, and by right person,
it's got to be preserved.
You have to go to a comic book show or auction,
get it appraised.
Yeah, but to Joe Schmo, it's like, okay, it's kindling at best. I can use it to start.
Yeah. Well, that and like there's
God, that
there's
makes
also
me nervous.
well, it's like it's a $100,000 in box and in pristine condition. Well, what's it worth when it's got some wear and tear on it? $12.
Oh, that's the other thing. Like, people are pricing off of eBay. I mean, that's been a thing. Like, I've been a retro game collector on and off since like 2012. So like, I've seen things, man. And yeah, people pricing off of eBay is a thing. Like, that's not kind of like I use price charting. Even price charting is not like the best metric. So are you familiar with price charting, my friend?
That's the website that you can appraise various products.
Oh, is it not active? I just searched for it and it's oh, I guess they moved URLs, I guess, whatever. So yeah, like for example, I was talking about Musha earlier. So yeah, this is Musha.
No.
Complete is 800, loose is 320. It's just a random game that popped in my head. But for me, the thing that kind of like really the thing that like basically in game collecting, it's basically one giant dick measuring contest. All right, so we have a dissenter, which I do welcome. So Belinda says, I'm afraid I do not agree. I collect things for my enjoyment. I really do not give a crap what filtration, It does actually, Belinda, and I did make a distinction between people who collect for the enjoyment of it and like the people who just hoard games and say they're doing game preservation. Basically this stream is kind of a big giant call out for the game collector community, which I myself am a part of and whatnot. But so my kind of like big moment was game collecting is like basically a dick measuring contest. And your dick basically being measured by what rare games you have. Like, oh, I have Earthbound. My opinion is more vile than you. Oh, I have Snatcher. I have Stadium Events. That means my life has value. No, it doesn't, Pat. That was a call out. See, that was a call out right there.
Damn.
If you know what I just said, you know. But,
yeah. Well, for me personally, like, this is why I prefer emulation, because emulation isn't beholden to physical media. Physical media always fails, and emulation you can just transfer to another hard drive. And in my case, I got multiple redundant backups. But like, the idea is that I'm collecting to play them. I'm not collecting them to collect dust on a shelf.
Yeah, for me, if I were to get back into any game collecting, which I kind of do, I would only really buy the games that I have memories tied to. Like, oh, I rented this as a kid. I have like I want to like, or buy all the like, or do the classic thing of like, oh, I always wanted this game as a kid. Now I'm gonna buy it because I have adult money. That's fine. That, like, please, for the love of God, do that.
Yeah.
But the people who have like boxes and boxes of games, and when like people like, oh, why do you have like all this crap? Like, oh, I'm game preservation. That's kind of where I draw the line.
Well, like your N64 analogy was like pretty spot on. I mean, I want to, as my enjoyment, not me personally, but like as my enjoyment, I want every color variation that was offered by the N64, just so that I can say I have it. You know,
and make a sick ass display. Like literally make a really nice shadow. Like for me, if I were to go for complete collections, it'd either be PSP or PlayStation, because those are some of my favorite systems. But here's the thing: I at one point had literally one of the grails, like a legit game. I one time at one point owned Panzer Dragoon Saga. Loose. I paid like $200 for it back in 2013.
Damn.
Like that was a legit, you know, like that. This is like Earthbound. It's actually rarer than Earthbound, a lot rarer. Like look how much the manual goes for. Manual alone. like PS5, or you want to buy a PS5 or a manual for a 30-year-old Sega Saturn game? God.
Well, that was like, I'm sure that Sega Saturn games in general probably have like a high value rate or value retention because the system itself was kind of a failure.
You know what I mean? It's kind of a perfect storm of failure, so thus the games are rare. Also, the Saturn is still a little bit tricky to emulate. Like it's gotten a lot better.
Oh God, yeah.
But even to this day, Sega Saturn is a bit of a tricky machine to emulate.
Dude, so and the games are so good. Like this system failed because of shitty marketing, not because of the quality of the product.
The Sega Saturn is not our future.
Yep. And they killed a baby that was perfectly healthy. Like this pisses me off because
it was not doing well. The Sega Saturn never had a chance in the US, first and foremost.
No.
I think with proper marketing, it probably would have at least beaten the N64. I don't think anyone could have beaten the PlayStation. But
honestly,
Oh,
sorry. Well, honestly, if they had never come out with the 32X and they had never come out with the Sega CD and went straight to Saturn, I think we would have seen a successful system.
I think there was enough distance between the Sega CD and the Saturn that it was kind of a non-issue. But yes, the 32X. Also, if they were not have released it 6 months early, that was a big thing. Because
we're going to release KB Toys.
Yeah, they released it 6 months early, but like the whole releasing it now was completely undercut by $299.
Yep, that's all he had to say. He walked right up there, just said that, and walked away.
I mean, Dave, I kind of have that a little bit. The only thing that helps me is on poor, thus I can't. So once I get like the big YouTuber money, watch out. I just bought my 5th copy of Snatcher.
Dude, that game is so good.
It is. It really is. I played it on emulator a bunch of times. It is really good.
Did you ever play the like? There was another one called Police Knots.
One moment. I need to. I gotta flex.
Oh, you got a copy of Police Knots?
I'm sorry. We'll just get this dust off of it real quick.
Yeah, I think that game actually you could play it with a light gun, like the Sega Menacer.
I actually just accidentally. All right, let me.
Oh, I see it. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I have the PlayStation version. I'm preserving games, everybody. I'm preserving game history right here.
Konami, if they were smart, would re-release a remastered version of this and Snatcher onto a single disc, or onto a single.
Oh God.
The Konami Collection Classics or whatever.
Because we have never got this version. So we're on slightly different pages on what is meant by game preservation. I mean, things like mods and those systems such as Dynasty ROM drive. Yeah, those are fine. Like a GD ROM emulator, EverDrive.
Yeah.
Those are great. Like
Yeah, the Dreamcast one is amazing.
Yeah. Because there's honestly nowadays, if you want to play an original hardware, you kind of have to do mods. Like Cass of the Gravedigger was actually very, very kind to. He sent me a RGB modded Sega Genesis. And he actually sent me an HDMI cable. And it actually plays really nice on my TV. And they also sent me a modded Sega Game Gear that has a brand new LCD screen and and actually a lithium ion battery pack in it.
Holy crap!
Yeah, and
dude,
the screen. And the thing is, the system is actually very comfortable. Like I forgot how the Game Gear is actually very. It's buried under a lot of crap. Like I kind of have it in like long-term storage, so otherwise I'd go get it.
Dude, that's a game changer. Is the LCD backlit?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, oh man, that would be like the perfect. Because I had one of those, and remember it had the add-on where you could play Sega Master System games on it.
Oh, yeah.
My only problem was I had to connect that thing to a freaking wall, and the LCD, like if you were in anything but perfectly optimal lighting conditions, you couldn't see the damn screen.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna get like an EverDrive GG for it. Those things are like $150, but they're kind of worth it, you know?
Damn. Yeah, that was a beautiful, like you said, that thing fit in your hand perfectly.
Yeah, it's actually surprising. See, it would be cool if they did a Saturn Mini. I just don't think there's enough of a market for a Saturn Mini. I think there's enough for a Dreamcast Mini. Like, isn't that weird? That there's enough of a fan base that you could do a Dreamcast Mini, but not for the Saturn. How weird is that?
Well, what if they did I mean, I know they tried to do this with the Sega Genesis Mini version 2, so they have a second Sega Genesis Mini, and it actually has like Sega CD games emulated on it.
Yeah.
Like maybe they could do that with the Dreamcast one, you know, to attract with the name and the branding, and then be like, oh, by the way, here's a copy of Police Knots or a copy of Snatcher English edition or whatever.
Oh no. It's like this. Oh God. Imagine if it had like Pandragoon Saga, like a lot of the like I actually remember when Earthbound got released on the Nintendo, like the eShop. The collectors were freaking out, like, "Oh my game's gonna be worthless." Oh God, this is why I hate game. This is why I really don't like game collectors, because like the ones who are in it for like, oh, my value, you know.
Yeah.
Like, come on, dude.
Yeah, I don't like, honestly, as far as I'm concerned, and maybe I'm in the minority here, but like when I collect things, it's because I like them. As far as the financial value goes, I'm not trying to like put a kid through college from my video game collection.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's like the comic book collectors of the 90s, where it's like, I'm gonna put my kid through college with Spider-Man #1. that was said so many times.
Are you though?
So
and then they reprint.
So yeah, this is Earthbound. I gotta say, Earthbound really hasn't like risen too much, because I always remember it being like $100-$200 game. Like it was like almost a $200 game for a while, but it's I don't know. Yeah, prices are kind of starting to come down from COVID.
Yeah,
like remember when like the prices shot up during COVID, and all the collectors were like, actually, they're just reflecting what they always should have been. Like, oh my God, I got into so many forum fights over that.
Yeah, dude. Like a lot of these are just the same emulated stuff that they've been attacking websites and shutting them down for.
I mean, not only that, but they're actually using the same. I think like isn't the PSX Mini using like a form of ePSXE or something? Or
yeah, and on top of that, I ended up it was totally illegal, and I think Amazon actually stopped selling them. But I got the Crackhead pack of USBs that you can boot off of Player 2 that gives you the entire PlayStation library, and it corrected some of the library. So some of the games that came on that original PSX Mini were like in PAL mode, which made no sense if you were playing in an American television.
So,
and you were
so
playing
for
like
those
PAL.
who don't know, American televisions, at least back then, operated off of 60 hertz.
Yep.
And hertz is basically like your frame rate is tied to the hertz of the TV. So that's why, like, if you're in a computer space, yes, CT Avery is Bay. But so that's why, like, let's say you have like a 120 hertz monitor, you can only get 120 frames per second.
Yep.
My laptop screen is 250 hertz, so I'm balling. Anyway, so PAL, the PAL standard was 50 hertz, so the games actually played at like 50 frames per second. But not only that, but they're oftentimes slower. Did I?
Yeah. Yeah, they're also at a higher resolution. The PAL screen format, I believe, was higher. Like, it was actually not at a 4:3 aspect ratio. It was like either a 4:4 or I can't remember what it was, but it has a higher resolution, slower frame rate, and it doesn't play well when you try to squeeze that into an NTSC display, because suddenly everybody gets shorter, fatter, wider, and they also
they get Americanized. Sorry.
But yeah, the original PSX had that as their games, and it was like, this looks like shit. Like, I just bought this mini, and this game's unplayable.
Yeah. Also, do you remember that one time that Nintendo got busted using a Nesticle ROM in the Wii?
Yeah. Yes.
All right. So I want to tell the story. So when the Wii Shop channel first opened, a lot of hackers get the game and they broke open the ROMs. And in Super Mario Brothers, they were going through the header data for Super Mario Brothers. This is a ROM that they got off of the Wii Shop channel, and it had a Nesticle header, which was an NES emulator from the 90s.
Yep.
Like, oops.
And they're all butthurt and pissed off about people emulating games, and they literally use the same emulator in their sold product.
They
didn't pay Nesticle creators for that emulator.
No, it was probably even worse. They literally probably just downloaded the ROM from a site.
Yeah, and just plopped it on their hardware, and they didn't pay anybody or anything, and they're making money off of it. So screw them.
So Belinda is talking about Play-Doh or whatever. I don't know.
Oh, dude, yeah. Dave was mentioning the Panzer Dragoon remake. Freaking loved that one, man. The music.
Yeah, I think I own it for Switch. I played it once and I just couldn't get into it.
Oh, dude. Well, so there's a level in Sonic Racing All Stars Transformed that's based off of Panzer Dragoon, and dude, it's freaking gorgeous. Like, you're basically because you can transform into a flying thing. You're basically flying alongside those dragons and stuff. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I think wasn't Panzer Dragoon kind of like their answer to Star Fox a little bit?
It's probably a 1-to-1 for Star Fox, in my opinion. Like, you've got the ground running thing, and then it's
well,
just
they were doing
shooter.
It before Star Fox. Well, if you unless you count Star Fox 2, but
yeah. It's sorry. No, you're saying?
Yeah, Star Fox 2. It's like one of those games that they officially released later.
Yeah, they first official release was on the Super NES Mini. So that was like your first, but it's like anybody that's been emulating, has been playing it for years.
Yeah, like one of the great things about emulation is like fan translations, ROM hacks.
Yep.
So many for me, it's all about the ease of the experience. And emulation is just an easier experience than gaming a lot. Sure, I can download a collection, and it has like maybe one or two filters, one or two things, or I can boot it up in an emulator and have like near unlimited, like shaders, filters, or whatnot.
Yep.
Options are endless, and that's not even getting into like ROM hacks.
Well, also like game production or publishers or whatever are trying to ease us back into the mentality that we had back in the 70s and 80s with the arcades, that they're trying to find a way to charge us for every time we want to play the game. And I am so sick of that. Like, I have lost interest in modern because of all the anti-consumer business practices, and then the whole concept of, well, you don't own the game and all this stuff. Well, screw you. Now I do. Emulate.
Yeah,
like,
this is why we've had
yes.
and then that's kind of the problem they're running into.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. I need to play Clockwork Knight. The game looks really good.
Yeah,
like
that's two of them. They're sweet.
See, that's the thing about the Saturn is it was meant to be a 2D console. So when you're playing a 2D game, or even like 2D HD was kind of Saturn's bread and butter. Let's be honest.
All the fighting games, man.
Like all the fighting games.
Yeah, they had Arcade Perfect.
Especially if you got like the Japanese ones and you had like the RAM expansion carts on them.
Yeah, dude,
like they're like frick you, Neo Geo.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, they had like an 8 and a 16-bit cartridge that you could pop into the back for memory expansions. And the way that they here's a pretty ingenious way of the way they designed it is if you didn't have the memory expansion, you could still play the game. You would just get less or fewer frames of animation per character, and there would be entire parallax layers that weren't rendered, so you just wouldn't see them. So it'd be
there were some games that even required the RAM expansion, like some of those fighting games. I did.
Well, yeah. That was so like in oh god, I think it was GameSack. I don't know if you watch GameSack, but it's a great channel here on YouTube.
I do love it.
And Joe went through. He's like, "This is what happens when you put it in," and he like shows the game, and he's like, "And this is what." Oh god,
I remember that. I remember that.
Yeah, dude, and yeah, like I love the idea that they designed it that way. But yeah, there were some games that when you popped it in, it just you were greeted to a screen that said requires 32 meg.
And the problem is the RAM expander never came out in the US. So like, there's basically a whole like sub community of that just play Japanese Saturn games because that well is really deep.
Yeah,
because you got to realize during that generation, the Saturn was actually the Saturn, I think was either number 1 or like a very close number 2.
Dude, yeah. So there was an American, like this is how much Americans got screwed over that were fans of the Saturn. One of my favorite.
Yes.
Oh yeah. One of my favorite. Yeah, love Parasite Eve. But
we'll talk about that.
One of my favorite SRPGs out there was the Shining Force series, and Shining Force 3 came out on the Saturn. And unfortunately, in America, you literally got one game. Well, Shining Force 3 was actually a trilogy of games, kind of like the way that Fire Emblem Fates was actually 3 games, and you had to play through them successively, and then you got like the legit ending. So this has been the biggest pain in my ass, but I was actually able to get the emulated fan translations of the Japanese versions of Shining Force 3 and figured out how to write a script so that it ties into each and every one of them so that it remembers your saves and says, oh, okay. So because the way that the game plays out is it remembers events, like each game is played from a different hero's perspective, and you see events from the other hero's like game being played peripherally, like, oh, this happened elsewhere, or you'll like be on a ship and you'll see a city being attacked or whatever. And yeah, the Americans never got that. And it was like, what the hell? Like talk about a cock block. Like that game was so good, and we missed like 2/3 of it. Yeah, I mean, by today's standards, the graphics look like absolute ass because it's
I mean, honestly, like the battle animations look a little bit wonky, but like the on-set things, it's an aesthetic. It's honestly a bit of an aesthetic.
Yeah, dude, I love freaking Shining Force, man, and I think this one was one of their best.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing, because like Bernie Stoller, we'll talk, like that dude. I give him credit. Like I think he marketed the Dreamcast really well, but he did not handle the Saturn very well. But at the same time, he was kind of given a losing hand, and he kind of had to make some tough decisions. I know a lot of people like to harp on like say, "Oh, Bernie Stoller is the villain." No, that's Peter Moore. Oh God, the story but I think Bernie Stoller I don't know, like I've seen interviews with him, and he just kind of strikes me as a guy who had to make hard decisions, you know.
Mm.
But like you heard what Peter Moore did to Shenmue 2, right?
No, Peter Moore as in Xbox 360 Peter Moore?
Yeah, so he oh yeah, oh hey Melee K.
Hey.
Yeah. Oh, we haven't gotten to that part yet. Oh my god, that was the other big thing about physical game collecting. Yeah, we haven't got to that part. We're still stuck in the 90s right now. But so Peter Moore took over after Broly Solar was fired, shortly before the Dreamcast launch. So they did Shenmue 2, they did Shenmue 1, and they're going to have Shenmue 2. And Shenmue 2 came out on the Dreamcast everywhere, but everywhere but the US. Peter Moore basically sold Shenmue 2 to the Xbox just so that he could get a job. He basically sold out Shenmue 2 to save his whatever.
Is that why there was no English dubbed version of Shenmue 2 on the Dreamcast?
Yeah,
like it's all in subtitles.
In the US, at least.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I've been trying. Like somebody made a patch of using the Xbox audio on the Dreamcast as like a mod for the emulated version, and I mean, I it's fine and everything, but it's real wonky to set up. But it's like, why was this never localized?
It was never released. The best way to do it is to play the UK version. Is to get the UK version, and then because you can easily do region-free Dreamcast. You know that's easy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Nix, your thoughts? Oh, she's muted. So all right. So I'm gonna. All right. Actually, I'm just gonna keep the Shiny Force stuff up. Let's fast forward a little bit. Let's fast forward 2 or 3 generations. We're now in the PS3 360 era, which is kind of another kind of point to a lot of the stuff. Is people talk about game preservation and anything PS2 on below you can buy, but the problem with anything like PS3 on up is a lot of these games are broken. Like for example, let's say you bought Skyrim for the PlayStation 3, and you have a fresh PS3 and you want to play it on the PS3. You're gonna have a bad time.
Oh, day one patches.
Because Skyrim on the PS3 was broken as hell, and that was a lot of games, even to this day. Are a lot of patches and stuff, and yeah, Sony still has like you. If I plug a game in, it'll still patch it. It'll still download the patches. That's great. Eventually, Sony's gonna shut those servers off. Eventually. Yep. And what's gonna happen? Sure, like just buy Game of the Year editions, but even those could be broken. You know, or let's say, I want to play Silent Hill 2. I'm gonna get the PS3 collection.
Oh, the one with the bad audio. Oof.
No. No.
James, why did you kill me, James?
Not only that, but they took out the fog.
Oh yeah, you're right. Oh yeah, I forgot.
Why taking out the crucial part of your goddamn game?
The primary
I knew that. I knew that's how I got Nick to speak, was to bring up Silent Hill.
Yeah.
And then that's something that's still persistent. Like I know a lot of the people talk about, like, I mean, essentially, if you buy a PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, they're essentially just installers. Nowadays.
Well, they're rental terminals.
Or I know people say, just buy the Switch versions. Yes, a lot of games are on the disc fully working, but a lot of them either need patches or hey, I was just talking about you, Caster. If you want a link to come in, feel free. But yeah, Fallout New Vegas, like,
dude,
really
that's Obsidian. Bugsidian was all about like how buggy their games were, even though, you know, I have mad respect for Chris Avallone, and, you know, as a narrative designer, he's up there with Amy Hennig, in my opinion. Obsidian games were full of bugs, dude. Like, they were laughably bad bugs.
To be fair, Fallout New Vegas was made in like less than a year, so I tend to cut them a little bit of slack.
Yeah, well, I think that's with all of them.
Dave, I would also say 3DS, but even like there are some 3DS games like that have like, for example, Pokemon X and Y actually have a game-breaking save bug, to where if you save in certain parts of Lumio City,
Soft lock.
Yeah. I mean, there's a patch for it, and it's fine. But what if you can't access the patch? That's the problem. Is a lot of these games have game-breaking bugs that need patches.
Mm-hmm.
Rest in peace, DSi. Oh my god, yeah. So here's a little bit of a trivia for you. I have a friend that has one of the original 360s,
mm-hmm.
and it still works.
Dude, so the original 360 Generation 1 launched with a known inherent design flaw in its hardware, where the thermal compound or whatever was the issue, but it was because of the way that the hardware was placed, where you literally had like a heating, or at least this was one of the major issues, was the CPU or whatever would overheat or heat up, and it would start warping like the drive platter or the tray, and then it would hit like certain other parts, and that's how you get the red wing or the red ring. And you could actually like, well, yeah, well, you could melt the thermal compound.
Let's go Red Wings.
Yeah, you could like basically heat up the thermal compound in like by wrapping your machine in a blanket, turning it upside down, and then letting the yeah, you're basically resoldering it like the hard way. But like that, in my opinion, that was the biggest FU to consumers. Was Microsoft knowingly launched or released a product. They needed to beat Sony to market, so they released a product with a known hardware flaw. And that was actually Peter Moore, who was like, I don't want to be the face of this. And he ended up leaving to go to EA after they had that big, remember, it was like a $30 million like reclaim.
Oh yeah, they got hammered hard by the government because this was a big like scam.
I feel bad because I scammed a GameStop a while ago, like God, 15 years ago
many people scam GameStop because you red ringed and then you just did like the oven trick, and so your 360 would work for a little while. So then you traded it into GameStop because like when they tested it, oh, it's fine. Literally 5 minutes after you left, it stopped working.
I ended up going into a GameStop after mine red ringed, bought a new Xbox 360. Went home, put the old Xbox 360 in the new Xbox 360's box, went back to the GameStop and said, what the hell are you selling me? This thing's like red ringed. What's going on? And he looks at the back of it and he's like, well, the serial number says that it's from like, from like a year ago or like May. I'm like, yeah, maybe you guys should rotate your stock better. And he's like, well, we can exchange it for a new one. I'm like, no, I want my money back. I don't have any faith in this console.
Oh my god, that's
how
criminal.
Yeah, but like I didn't want to deal with the 90 whatever it was where you like sent it away for like months or whatever, and then like you might get it back working and might not. Like, I'm sorry, but like this was a known defect. You literally scammed your customers. Like if GameStop had like a loss on that,
a lot of corporations, they do like this like corporate math of like acceptable losses. Like for example, GM knew, like I'm going back to the 70s here. The Ford Pinto, they knew like the gas can thing where like if you look at the Pinto wrong, it explodes. They knew about it, but they're like, okay, the lawsuits are probably going to be this much. This many people might die. Okay, these are acceptable losses. Let's push out the product. They do that kind of math all the time.
Disgusting.
Hey, Happy Dinosaur, how you doing, buddy? But yeah, this type of math is done all the time, and that's basically what Microsoft did. Though I think they kind of underestimated the PR blowback or just the cost. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, but it was all about trying to beat their competitor to the market. and they rushed production. And like it's funny because like they actually had to go through, I think, 2 or 3 different hardware revisions before it stopped being like a guaranteed failure. Like it wasn't a question of if your thing would red ring. It was a matter of when. And that's terrifying. Like being a customer, hey, spend $300 and yeah, this hunk of shit could burn out tomorrow, a week from now. You could treat it like a pristine idol and it will break, or you could treat it like crap and it
now. Granted, the PS3 did have similar issues.
Yep, it had the yellow
light of death.
Yep,
it wasn't as prominent, but the original model had. It wasn't as common, but it did have
Yeah, and it's like, meanwhile, my Sega Genesis and my Super NES and my GameCube still work like champs. You know,
the Atari 2600 still works.
Yeah,
it's literally 50 years old. It's an antique and it still works.
Yeah, and that's how you know that like these companies are cutting corners to increase revenue and it or profits, and it's like, guys, this is why we emulate. Like, I'm tired of you buying shit too.
With emulation, there's so many options for emulation today. Obviously, there's PC. You can mod an older console like a PSP, 3DS, Vita. Vitas are still popular. Or you can get a one of those Chinese emulation handhelds, which I actually do own one of them, and I'm going to show you. I've showed this off on stream a few times, but start the cam. Let there be light. Like, yeah. I love my. This is the Miyoo Mini Plus. It's pretty sweet. Yeah, these things are like $40 on like AliExpress. They're really good. What's really cool is there's like a community around them. They do like custom OSs and whatnot. Oh, that is good to hear. So glad to hear.
Yeah. No man like the last one.
All right, I'm just going to move this up.
That was a nice looking screen too.
It is actually. Looks even better in person.
Wow.
This is Breath of Fire 3.
Man. God, imagine handing that to like 10-year-old you.
Imagine like, hey, you want to play my Game Boy Color? This is a weird Game Boy Color.
Why has it got full motion video on it? What's going on?
Yeah, like I get that. Like as much as we talk about the joys of emulation, there's always going to be people who want to support the official releases, and that's something we need to acknowledge.
Yeah, I guarantee. Like, I'm a staunch capitalist. Like, if you don't financially support something that you like, then don't be surprised when it goes away. My only problem though is I've already bought Super Mario Brothers like 6 times that I can remember. I'm not rebuying it a 7th.
Yeah, I've bought Sonic 2 5 times, Sega. You've had my money many times over. I'm gonna emulate this release. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yeah, give me like new game, like games that are being released now that I actually enjoy. Like, I'm gonna financially support that. If I don't, then it's nobody's fault but mine that it didn't get. Like,
yeah, and then the other thing is we also have a new trend of patient gamers, of the people who are like, oh yeah, this game looks cool, but I don't want to buy it for $70. I'm just going to play my backlogs for a few years, wait for it to drop down. Like, for example, I recently bought Hogwarts Legacy. I'm loving it. It's a great game. But you know what? I bought it for $30. Actually, no, I didn't buy it for $30. I bought it for like $23. Understandable. You can only buy Skyrim so many times.
Yeah, I did that with... So there was a game that a friend had recommended called Immortals Phoenix Rising from Ubisoft. It's basically a shameless ripoff of Breath of the Wild with some...
Shameless, like very shameless.
Yeah, it's very shameless. But Steam had it on their summer sale, and it was like for $5, and it was like the ultimate gold edition, so it has all the DLC and everything. This is an amazing game, especially for the price tag. I'm like, this This did things better than Tears of
You're
the
getting
Kingdom.
your money's worth.
That's right.
Chris is Jewish, so we can get away with doing
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, hardcore buddy waited for the Switch port. Yeah, a lot of people are doing that, and it's like I'm not gonna lie. Breath of the Wild meets Kid Icarus, yeah.
Yeah, it's so fun.
I'm actually kind of excited for the Switch 2. Like, I'm probably gonna get a Switch 2 just because apparently they're gonna be using like DLSS tech. It's PS4 Pro levels, but with DLSS, which will kind of allow it to almost bridge the gap between modern consoles, if you think about it.
Well, yeah, I mean that Nintendo's basic strategy for the last couple of console generations has been, sell your console at a profit, which the other manufacturers haven't done. They've all been loss leaders. But it's also, it's been severely underpowered, which makes multi-platform games a pain in the ass. So if you could actually bring that hardware capabilities up to parity with the current generations or close to it, that's going to be a big boon for the Nintendo platform.
Hey, Charlie B, thanks for stopping by.
Hey.
But yeah, it'll be really interesting. Especially get some games that we never thought. Like I mean, just imagine the Skyrim, the Switch was announced, and I can play Skyrim on the toilet.
The future is now.
Yes,
man. Yeah, that's impressive. I'll take that.
I'll say like the Series S is actually kind of it's kind of the bane of this generation.
Yeah, it is.
I think last stream I was trying to get to this, but Chris wouldn't shut the F up. But it's all good.
Wait, what?
No. We're talking about like least viable product, and we kind of got into a whole other discussion. It's fine. What I wanted to get to was, so with the Xbox Series S existing, all these companies have to design for the Series S, and that's really been impacting game design.
Yep, happened in the 360 era as well.
Like, look at, I think a lot of companies skipped the Wii, so that helped. Like, look at games that are multiplat versus games that are PS5 only. The difference is striking, honestly.
Yeah. Well, not to go on a long tangent here, but like when I worked on that Defiance game, it was an MMO shooter that was for the PC, the Xbox 360, and the PS3. And it was like, oh, great, we have to launch simultaneously on these three very different platforms. Have fun. Well, Microsoft, in their terms, conditions, and whatever, their TCRs essentially, that you have to get validated before they'll even allow your product to be launched on their platform officially. One of their what the hell's the word? One of their compliance elements was that you could not install more game data than could fit on a memory card, because they sold Xbox 360s that didn't have hard drives. So therefore, this game needs to be playable on a system that doesn't have a hard drive. It's like, okay, fine. So we're going to be streaming we'll be streaming a shit ton of the game off of the disc, but no problem, because it had a really fast disc reader and you could just stream from the disc. Not a problem. Okay, fine. Let's go over to the PS3 now. Oh, well, the PS3 has a huge amount of hard drive space that you can totally install to, but it has a read. The disc read was a BD-ROM 1X, so it was like slow as molasses. So you couldn't stream from the disc. So when you made this game, you had to redesign the entire architecture, the way the data was, handled between the two different platforms. You literally had to develop two separate games in tandem. And then the PC version was not beholden to any of these console limitations. So all of your updates and patches were instantaneous. As soon as you launched it, it came out for the PC, where the Xbox 360 and the PS3 had up to, was it 3.5 weeks, 4 weeks to get a patch out the door, because it had to go through all the compliance testing. Yeah, that was a bitch to do. This is why I would advocate for platform specific games, like the console exclusives. That's why they look so damn good, because they don't have to muddy the waters.
Yeah, I think the PS3, Xbox 360 was like the last time where consoles were so wildly different.
Yeah, the cell architecture of the PS3 was alienating for everyone.
Yeah. Why did Sony go that route, in your opinion?
Well, the cell architecture was vastly superior. It's just it walked into its own little closet and shut the door behind itself.
Well, the other
You
thing
know?
is, I think like the architecture was so foreign. Most game devs just use like one of the processors. Like that's why
it was
a lot of
difficult
PS3, that's why a lot of PS3 ports look as bad as they are. Is they're literally only using like 1/3 of the PS3's power.
Yeah. It's funny because when you looked at like first party developers, or you look at somebody like Naughty Dog, who had the full gamut of the architecture, and they were fully understanding how it worked, they had games that were comparable to like PS4 graphics wise. Like when the Last of
like
Us,
as much hate as I give Last of Us. If you look at the PS3 version, it looks almost like a very early PS4 game. Yeah, console architecture is very good. Like, look at the Nintendo games that are exclusive, like Breath of the Wild. Like this is why a lot of like people had problems with Pokemon, because they saw how
like crap.
Breath of the Wild. Next, okay, you want to say something?
I'm sorry. Like I love not loved. I like the newer Pokemon game, Scarlet and Violet, but oh god, did not look good.
They run like
No.
ass.
Yeah, they're all chunky and the loading was weird. Like things would just pop in.
Yeah, that too. I want to kind of like just so Charlie B says, since I do retro computer restoration, I've had many people bring me old arcade game boards to repair. Watch YouTube videos. Yeah, like that's actually a hobby that's kind of gaining a lot of traction. Like I would kind of compare tinkering with retro consoles to like, you know, people like messing with cars almost.
Yeah, you're like a grease monkey for the arcades, like, you know.
Yeah. Also, the other thing is, like, I do a lot of comic book shows, and obviously when I'm doing these shows, I hear people like talking to people about like comic books, the same way that people talk about comic books, the same way people talk about old video games. So I'm just gonna say this: retro video games are to millennials and Gen Z what comic books are to Gen X.
Yeah, that's good analogy.
Like it's a 1-1 comparison, in my opinion. Oh my god, Legends Arceus, the graphics were ass, but the gameplay was so great. And Pokemon Snap just looked amazing.
Nice.
Also, Happy Dinosaur, did you ever play the Mystery Dungeon remake? That game looks so good. But yeah, the problem with like the Pokemon games on the Switch, where it's like all the spin-off games were so much better than what we got, because a lot of the spin-off games were developed by outside companies. I believe Pokemon Snap was actually developed by Namco.
Oh wow. Yeah, that
all makes sense.
Yeah, is there like a Pac-Man in there?
Yeah, have you seen like Pokemon new Pokemon Snap?
I haven't seen the remake. I got the original emulated. But I mean it's basically a rail shooter.
Essentially, yes.
Man, so that means you can make things look a lot prettier than, you know, full motion or full free run.
Exactly. So let me just all right. Here we go. Yeah, I never really played the Game Boy Advance Mystery Dungeon. I really should. Sorry, my internet's being a poo-poo head right now.
I think this might be YouTube. Like that, it does that to me occasionally. I'm like, why am I able to talk on StreamYard's fine, but yet YouTube is like joking?
I reloaded it. Hopefully that solves the problem. Actually, Chris. I'm going to send you the link, and then if you want to play it, you can.
All right.
Oh, yeah, but it's like, we don't want to work. We don't want to work. Yeah. Oh, but also, Chris, we were talking about emulation and the curating of files. Is there something you would like to show?
My emulation system.
Yes, actually.
Sure, I can fire up my
All right, yeah. So just kind of thumb through the video, like kind of go to if you could.
well, I think you wanted it like right there.
Could go back a little bit.
Go back a
Like
little
I
bit.
want to see like the actual the thing. I want you to see it. Like look at that.
Yeah, look how smooth that is.
Yeah, it looks really good. And like the Pokemon models look really nice.
Yeah. Oh, that looks like it's a solid 60.
Nix, have you played this game?
No.
Does it look interesting to you?
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm gonna be honest. Like Legends ZA, I'm not really enthused for because it's just it takes place entirely in Lumio City. That is like I don't know. Yeah, the problem with Game Freak is they have no reason to change because everyone complains, yet they still keep buying the games.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Like Sword and Shield, there was this big controversy. Sold 20 million copies.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's complaining about Scarlet and Violet. Sold 18 million copies. Like, oh, it sold 2 million less or whatever, you know.
Well, companies only listen to one thing, money. You know, and if you can complain all it's like the people who like, you know, the culture warriors that are watching it so you don't have to. It's like, dude, you're still feeding the machine.
Yeah, yeah. We've had conversations about this and I've raised about it. Oh god. It's a job.
Yeah.
God. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for showing that. Like that looks really, really sweet.
Oh, yeah. Let me
but anyway, getting back to the stuff. So the thing that kind of lost me was I got sick and tired of the dick measuring contest with retro games. And here I was, I had Panzer Dragoon Saga, one of the rare games. I was in the club. And I just got so disgusted, I sold Panzer Dragoon Saga because like I owned it for about a year, and I literally booted it up like maybe 3 times. And 2 of those times were to show people the game.
Yeesh.
Like, hey, look at this rare game I got. You want to see it played? You know, that kind of thing. And it's just I don't. And I've sold a lot of my stuff, like during the pandemic when everything got expensive. I had a lot of stuff that was just sitting on a shelf that I hardly ever even looked at. And so I sold a lot of it because it was just shelf fodder. And shelf fodder can be fun, but if you're not even looking at it, you know? Like, it's one thing if I have, like, a giant shelf of games and it's part of my YouTube set. Like, okay, sure. You know, at least it's serving a purpose. But if it's on a shelf and you don't even glance at it, what's the point of even owning it?
Yeah, I mean, it's just collecting dust and taking up space. It's just hoarding at that point.
Exactly, which is why I've cut down a lot of my stuff and I do emulation now.
Yep, same here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I will try and keep at least a sliver of an open mind, Dave. But at the moment, I'm not really in the Switch ecosystem. But for the Switch 2, I might jump back in. I'm kind of waiting to see what they do. But it's got to be backwards compatible. Like, dear God. Can you imagine how much of a bad mistake it would make if the Switch 2 wasn't backwards compatible?
Oh, damn. Yeah. Well, I mean, Nintendo has a good track record, though, for, for those backwards compatibility. I mean, the Wii had actual ports for GameCube.
Well, the big thing is Nintendo has made a big push into developing a digital ecosystem. Like the Switch has been around for almost 7 years, and people have thousands of dollars worth of digital games, and to not carry it over would be bad.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure the Switch will be backwards compatible, both cartridges and digital. So I'll rebuy the Switch with Switch 2. I will say that golden Switch Lite, that is so tempting.
Oh, the Zelda one?
Yeah, have you seen it?
I have it.
Lucky.
No, wait. It's already released?
Oh, no, I thought you were referring to the Tears of the Kingdom Zelda Golden Switch.
No, the
Thank God.
No, this one.
Oh no!
This kind of reminds me of the 3DS, the Link Between Worlds 3DS. Which, by the way, I own that, and that thing was beautiful. I am so tempted to own this. You have no freaking idea. Like, this thing looks so beautiful. My God, this thing looks good. Nix, have you seen that? Well, oh wait, you were on the stream with me.
Yeah.
But holy crap, this looks good. That's kind of something I kind of miss about the 3DS era. Was like all the different editions.
Yeah. I remember my original 3DS was like a aqua or like a blue, and then I ended up getting the 3DS large or whatever, or the big 3DS, and it was red and black.
Yeah, my first 3DS was actually the Link Between Worlds XL, which is really beautiful. And I did eventually buy a second 3DS, and I sold the Link Between Worlds one. It was the remember when they released Pokemon on the 3DS, and they released that special edition new 3DS? I actually still have. That's actually a 3DS that I still have, which apparently it's actually kind of rare. Like, that version goes for like a couple $100 nowadays. Let me go grab it. PSP. There we go. Yeah, I need to flex. I need to flex a little bit. But yeah, apparently this version of the 3DS is actually rare. Let's be light. Yeah, like I remember when I hadn't picked up my I hadn't actually picked up. Here we go. I'm flexing.
Nice.
Sticker star gross. So here's the thing about the 3DS. Okay, this thing has been sitting on top of my shelf for a couple of months. Okay, let's see if it actually boots up. Let's see if it still has a charge. All right. Oh, it still has a charge and it's still booting up. Like,
nice.
They do not make because if this was like a Switch, it would not boot up.
No.
Because like a lot of those systems, they had battery bleed on it. This is a modded 3DS, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, it's modded.
I love the themes. Like I had to hack my Switch to get themes. Blows my mind that they didn't.
Oh my God, I miss those so much. Because Nintendo was the thing about the 3DS is it actually feels really nice to navigate the menus on this.
Yeah. Yeah, you got custom sounds. Like the visuals look nice.
Yeah. Let's see here. These are just utilities, apps, retro. Doom. Yes. My 3DS can play Doom. Yeah, that was a lot of people. Like, the 3DS basically carried Nintendo through the Wii U failure. Let's be honest. They really did. But yeah, the other cool thing is you could do fan translations. Like, for example, Dragon Quest Monsters, Harry's Wonderland. Never came out in the US, but there's a fan translation of it.
Nice.
By the way, I just missed this because look at the presentation. It is so nice.
Man.
Well, to be fair, Dave, they were doing a Nintendo themed 3DS for literally everything back then, and I kind of miss it.
Yeah. Well, it felt special. You had like, a limited edition special thing in your hand, and now everything is just, platform.
Yeah, they're kind of still doing it. Like, for example, I think the Switch, I've noticed they do a lot of special edition Switch Lights, but they don't do a lot of special edition Switches. I've noticed that. Like, they do some of them, but like they're more likely to do it on Switch Lite, which is weird.
Yeah. Yeah, the only special editions I can think of are like the Smash Brothers one and the
Animal Crossing.
The Animal Crossing. Oh, and the one I got, the Tears of the Kingdom one. But other than that, it's not you can count them all in one hand versus the Switch Lite ones.
Yeah, like I'm kind of hoping that I'm kind of hoping that they release Dragon Quest Monsters on PC. With how Square is, I would say I would give it a good solid maybe. But while we're talking about like Square and Dragon Quest, so do you hear the thing about like Dragon Quest 3 where apparently I think this is I feel like this is a bit of an overreaction by the culture war people, where I guess there's like a new design for the hero and it's like a little more androgynous or whatever, but like people
they got rid of male and female options. So oh my god, there's like birds of prey really big outside my window and it's scaring me. Anyways,
that's random.
Yeah, sorry, I just looked over and
no, it's okay. It's okay. It's fine.
So I was following my former boss there, Kern, and he looked into it.
Yeah, your former boss who even 10 years after not working for him, he's still stealing your content.
Well, I don't know.
I'm talking about the Assassin's Creed thing. That's the joke.
Oh. Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like I worked with for him for Firefall, which was
all right. I'll be right back, but you say your stuff. Open platform.
All right, yeah. So kind of the big hullabaloo about the Dragon Quest thing was that it wasn't so much that they made so and so androgynous. It was that they in this remake they got rid of the male and female body types and just called it body type A and body type B. And they erased all femininity from body type B, i.e. the female version that was normally there. And they also extended that into the language of some of the jobs, the classes that the characters have, so that, there's no longer any gendered classes, which is kind of weird. Like they consciously went in and erased any concept of gender, and they just made everything like a big gray slough. And that's where I think a lot of people are like, what the hell is this crap? Like, just remake the game.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Happy Dinosaur. Like, I get the controversy, but personally, from my perspective, if that is the biggest problem, it's not too bad. But look closer, it's a Velociraptor.
I
get why people are upset. I'm not trying to discount it, but from my perspective, I don't really mind too much.
Well, that and like the female one doesn't look female. It looks like a guy with boobs. Like it looks like it doesn't. Yeah, they've like I hate this modern trend of eliminating femininity and making everything look like all the women look mannish and all the dudes look effete, and it's like,
oh, it's even worse. It's even like, do you remember what they did to Pokemon Go?
That was disturbing, dude.
I'm gonna boot up Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go is like literally the only mobile game that I sometimes play, because like if I'm walking around and I'm like, oh, I'll head out some Pokestops, it'll be fine. I'll do some gyms in my area, like it's. But the thing is, where the frick is Pokemon Go? So I'm trying to there we are. So the way they did that, maybe they want Eric to be canonically male.
Yeah.
But let me show you my character. And just how bad. Look at look how they massacred my boy. I remember I told it to Jared from Comics League, and he booted it up, and he's like, "Whoa, what did they do to my character?" Oh, let's see. There's a spinner rack. Sorry, I'm already kind of getting stuck. Oh, and it crashed.
Oh, well, they took the curves off the ladies.
No, they didn't take the curves off. They gave them more curves.
Wait, what? Yeah, a bulge.
It's actually kind of funny too that so many modern games are doing this because I've recently started playing Disney Dreamlight Valley.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you that while they do the body type thing, like A and B, one is very definitely female, and you can actually do a whole diverse variety of body types for the male and female bodies.
All right. Look what they did to my dude. His cheeks are puffed out. It's like the jawline is a little less. Come on, man.
He's feminized, and the female versions are all look like dudes.
Masculinized.
Look at what they did to him.
He's been emasculated.
The only reason I can see this outside of an ideological slant is that it's more efficient to make a generic body that you can design props for instead of a distinctly male and distinctly female one.
See, I have no problem with other body type options. If someone wants to play an obese character that's and it's that type of game, then fine. Let them be the character they want to be. I have no problem with more body types. See Venkman, I was a Second Life person, so I never played that game. Nix, are you familiar with that situation?
No, but I have seen that game advertised to me countless times. I tried to get into it, and then I never did, but I forgot about it.
Well,
but I remember the avatars actually looked fairly cool back in the day, so I can only.
Well, if you want to play that type of game, play Second Life. That's all I'm gonna say. I had a crippling Second Life addiction in 2014 for about a year straight. So, and I sometimes log back in and just mess around for 5 minutes. Realize, oh wait, I have nothing to do. Then I don't play the game. Trombone sound from the other, wah, wah, wah. So, Chris, how much space do all these games take up?
About 12 terabytes.
12 terabytes. My God.
Yeah, I think the newer the system, obviously the larger the disk space. But some of the if I go into arcades here, some of the what's it, a Thomas Wave? This is basically the Dreamcast 1.5.
Yeah.
This is a more advanced version of the Dreamcast hardware. So it's
there's actually been a project to port a Thomas Wave titles to the Dreamcast.
Yeah, I actually got a few of them. So this is Dolphin Blue, which was an amazing. It's a shooter arcade game. It kind of reminded me of Metal Slugs, but only it's ocean themed. And I ended up.
You're welcome, Happy Dinosaur. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to talk about them. Anything you want to talk about, feel free. So always happy to, whatever.
see, somebody ported it over to the Dreamcast, and yeah, some of it had to be dumbed down a little bit, but holy crap, is this game amazing! And having it on the Dreamcast that's pretty sweet.
Yeah. I love the Dreamcast. I mean, anyone who kind of knows my lore knows that I freaking love the Dreamcast. If you were to say my top 3 systems, it would probably be PlayStation, Dreamcast, PSP. Like, and if there's a top 5, probably say 3DS would probably be number 4, and then number 5 would be Switch. All right, happy chomping.
Oops. Man, yeah. Oh yeah, this is that Phoenix Rising game. Yeah, it's definitely Kid Icarus meets Breath of the Wild.
So if I get it for cheap, it's worth the price.
I was recommended this game from a friend, and I was like, okay, it's $5. It can't hurt too much. You get the Ultimate Edition, which comes with different DLC, and there's even a Chinese themed DLC. So like you're exploring like the mythology of China. And yeah, I've been
such a love-hate company. I gotta be honest. Like they make good games, but like they're like the worst of the worst when it comes to monetization.
Oh yeah, well, this game it tried to like install some stupid Uplay surrogate, and I just ignored it, like, which is awesome. You can actually just say screw that. I want nothing to do with it, and I've never had to sign in or create a Uplay account to play this game. And I don't know if you can see it because the Phoenix Press logo's blocking it, but
it's blocking Phoenix Rising.
Yeah, there is in the upper right, it shows you like I put in 17.17 hours in it so far.
Wow.
I mean that's a pretty decent chunk of investment of time.
I mean, honestly, Dave, when it came to the Dreamcast, there's a bunch of stuff they could have done. A DVD player is certainly one of them. Honestly, like, if they would have had a DVD player and they would have gotten their zip drive out, I think they could have been competitive. Because, well, there's 2 big things that held back the Dreamcast. One is the disk drive. The other is RAM. It has 16 megabytes of RAM. The PS2 had 32, and the Xbox had 64. If the Dreamcast had 32 megabytes of RAM and a DVD drive, it's basically like, because graphically it's on par with the PS2, and in some aspects it's actually better than the PS2. So
oh yeah.
Well,
the Dreamcast handles, like, here's one thing, like from an emulating perspective, the Dreamcast plays really well with modern display hardware, which is really weird. Like it's all
it's because it natively outputs an RGB signal. That's the thing with the Dreamcast.
And progressive
natively outputs it.
And it uses progressive scan output, which means that you're getting a single frame instead of the interlaced where you're getting a half a frame every frame per second. And the PS2 uses almost exclusively interlaced. And there are a couple of games that do progressive, like God of War. I think God of War, yeah. But in comparison, though, just what holds up better graphically, I would say the Dreamcast holds up better graphically than the PS2.
Same thing with the GameCube, because the GameCube natively outputs an RGB signal as well for a lot of the games.
Yeah,
the Dreamcast has a cleaner picture. Also, the Dreamcast cleans up a lot better. Like Dreamcast games in HD actually look really good. I am so tempted to like boot up Soul Calibur right now. But PS2 games, they don't clean up as well, honestly.
Yeah.
You know what's really weird though? If you ever emulate PSP games, and they get automatically upraised, they actually look really good upraised, which is really weird.
Oh yeah. What is it? I think I did that with actually, yeah. Let me go into handhelds. PSP. Yeah. Even though these are kind of weaker versions of the PS2, like, yeah, I've got some pretty beautiful graphic. Like you can go in and basically say in the renderer or in the emulator, render at 1080p or whatever, and the hardware handles really well.
It does.
See if I can.
It does a lot.
See if I have something that I can show quick.
Yeah, and I always love because the PSP actually had a pretty high res screen for its time. I don't think it was quite 480, but it was like really close. Because if you ever get like the 3000 edition PSP, like the Bright, and you're even playing like 2D games, look amazing on the PSP.
Let's see if I can get Power Stone to play.
Yeah, that was definitely a factor. The Saturn and the 32X debacle really did hold them back. Another thing about the Dreamcast that a lot of people don't talk about, the Dreamcast had an amazing launch lineup, but then the games lineup was dry and barren. If they had actually followed it up with regularly good releases, they might have done better. Because a lot of people, they look at the amazing launch lineup, and it is probably one of the best launch lineups ever, maybe even the best. But they didn't really follow it up with a lot of games. You weren't getting many good Dreamcast games beyond that.
Yeah, that it's a marathon. You can't just show it all at the upfront and then just leave a desert behind.
Also, I kind of feel like it might have been better for the Dreamcast if it had launched in '98.
Yeah. Well, isn't that what it launched in '98 in Japan?
In Japan, it did. There was a full year between that. I get maybe they were spending time we're gonna build up the hype for the launch, and I get it, but I don't know. Though 9/9/99 it's iconic. It is an iconic launch date. We're still talking about what other launch date can people quote off the top of their head,
Yeah, 9/9/99.
So Nix, what's your relationship with the Dreamcast?
I didn't really have one before my time.
Oh.
There is one game that I think on the Dreamcast that I think would interest Nix. Chris, could you boot up the JoJo game for Dreamcast, please?
Sure.
Nix, have you? Yeah. So I think that would actually interest Nix here.
See, I think I have 2 JoJo games.
Either one is fine.
All right, let's see. Well, I'm getting attacked by a cat. I'm gonna have to get that achievement of Jungle Gym playing unlocked. Okay, I got.
Well,
JoJo.
sorry, Nick has already platinumed that trophy, so.
Yeah. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Let's see what this.
But Nix, anything you want to add about the previous conversation regarding the situational disability and just the parenting thing?
Well, I think it's all been pretty much covered.
Yeah, but the Dreamcast had a lot of really interesting stuff. Remember, Chris, did you hear that they plan on doing an MP3 player VMU?
Really? You mean hold on, my cat hit a button while I was trying to launch this.
You know that they plan to have a zip drive attachment for it, right?
Oh, for the Dreamcast?
Yeah, that was essentially going to be their hard drive. Which I got to be honest with you, that was actually that was I think that would have been a pretty decent solution. Just imagine the things that they could have done with the zip drive, and they would have had a VMU that would have been an MP3 player. That those are stuff that we know that was planned. There's a lot of other rumored things.
Well, I have to. I think my cat just moved the directory somehow. I don't know how that happened.
But imagine if the Dreamcast had come out in early 2000, and it had the DVD drive, 32 megs of RAM, and the zip drive built in. Dave has a question for you.
I wouldn't really say it's homoerotic, but it certainly has gotten that reputation.
But this is the craziest thing about that.
It attracts the worst kinds of people.
Oh god, JoJo stands. but yeah, Bleem. Like, how crazy was that? That you could play Metal Gear Solid Gran Turismo 2 on your Dreamcast,
and they were hardware emulate or hardware rendered. Like,
yeah,
make things look so much better.
Yeah, like they smoothed out the wobblies. Like Metal Gear Gran Turismo 2 on the Dreamcast almost looks like Gran Turismo 3. Like, if you put like the two versions side by side, the average person won't be able to tell the difference. Ooh, that's a pretty wallpaper.
Thanks. Yeah, I gotta relaunch Redream because somehow it looks like the library or whatever got messed up. So let's see.
But yeah, I love like homebrew. I love modding consoles, like the stuff you can do for it. Like, it's like I love my PSP, I love my 3DS, and all that stuff. Yeah, the Dreamcast kind of has a special place because you just need to burn a CD, and you can just like I had so much fun with that.
CDI.
Like, that's why homebrew Dreamcast games are kind of in a league of their own, is because you can actually professionally press a CD and it'll work, you know. And like you can download CDIs of like Super Nintendo games. Like, I remember so much all that stuff. It was really cool. I don't know if I've ever talked about this, but like once upon a time, I actually was part of a Dreamcast homebrew team.
Really?
Yeah. Trying to think how much I should say. It was a game called Hypertension, Harmony of Darkness. I was kind of on the 3D team. I was on there for a while. It was part of like the TDT mods or whatever. I was a 3D artist. I worked with like this really great 3D artist named Jason. Who actually ended up working on some of my comics. He's a cool dude. And yeah, I was part of that scene for a little bit, and I made some cool connections. Like, that's how they like. Chris, remember when I had that List of Shadows guy on Falco?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, that's actually a bit of a evergreen video for me. That video has like got like crazy views. Yeah, because like I befriended him for like a while, and you know we still you know, like, yeah, the Dreamcast scene is amazing. Honestly, I love that system so much. So, but Nix, we were talking about like the game preservation, emulation, and any of that stuff. Anything you'd like to add to that?
No, I think everything's been said.
All right, so I can kind of tell we're kind of a bit running out of steam here. So, let's do a Q&A. So, chat if you got any questions for us, if you got anything. Open season as far as topics. Otherwise, we can just kind of start wrapping up. But Chris, Nix, is there anything you guys want to bring up? And then chat if there's any topics you want us to talk about, any questions you have for us, please feel free. If not, we can just kind of start wrapping up. So it's all good. Chris, are you interested in the Switch 2?
The Switch 2? Yeah. I think, although, in all honesty, I got to see some games for it before I follow any hype.
We might have already seen a game.
Yeah. Well, the reason why is because when the PS5 and the Xbox Series X came out, they didn't have any games for it. And I was like, look at this amazing technology, this awesome hardware that plays nothing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't care about, you know, what is it? You know, how powerful a system is if, you know, if it doesn't have any good games for it. Like, people didn't buy the Nintendo, they bought Super Mario Brothers. People didn't buy the Xbox, they bought Halo. Like, where's the killer apps?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if they're like, hey, here for the Switch 2, we've got, Super Mario Odyssey 2 or something. I'd be like, okay, I'm on board. Like, sold.
Yeah. Or just some other Super Mario experience.
Yeah.
So have you guys seen the suits from James Gunn's Superman?
Yes.
Oh god,
Dude.
they're so
I
bad.
wish I had.
Like,
well, it looks they're
here's
doing a
here's
disservice to the physique.
well, that and here's what's pissing me off is
What's that?
let me just add this to the stream. All right, Nix, have you seen this picture?
I'm pretty sure I have. Yeah.
All right, so this is Hawk Woman, Hawk Girl, whatever. Fuck you. And then this is Guy Gardner, Green Lantern. What did
Yeah.
that? Like,
Allegedly.
no. These are first suits. This is an actual set leak. So, I mean, that is
this
clearly
like a humiliation ritual? Is this a humiliation ritual for?
Look at his face. Look at his face. He's like, oh my god. Like, why am I doing this? Like, why? Like, just look at his face. But
Kill me.
like, oh my god, this prop looks so bad. Dear God.
Yeah, it looks like a. Looks almost like a.
I've seen like cardboard cutouts look better than that.
Yeah.
See, here's the real big problem I have. It's supposed to look bad on purpose.
Yeah, because that's what we want.
They're gonna get new suits at the end, like okay, let's take that at face value. Let's Dave, I'll get to your comment in a second. I just want to, like let's try and take this at face value and say they're supposed to be bad on purpose. Okay. Why? Like, who thought that was a good idea?
Well, James Gunn, he wants
to
make
they're corporatized heroes. Like, and Superman shows them the way. It's like. Also, here's the other thing. Dave the Impaler says, "What the hell is going on with Guy Gardner's costume? The corpse would not allow him to wear that uniform. Doesn't make sense for Green Lantern. No, it doesn't, because I don't know if you can see it, but there's a Lord Tech logo. These is a superhero team sponsored by Maxwell Lord. The Green Lanterns would never allow a member of the Corps to be sponsored by a outside organization like that.
Yeah, it's conflict of interest.
Oh God, no.
Yeah, space cops don't publicly display who's bribing them.
Publicly.
Yeah,
that's an important thing. Publicly. That would be like Seattle cops having Microsoft branding on them.
Yeah. Well, you ever see that joke where they're like, wouldn't it be nice if we could make a law that to pass where politicians had to wear all the people that were sponsoring them
like
the
NASCAR,
way that NASCAR.
like NASCAR.
Yeah.
Oh God, Lord help us all.
Yeah. Wow, look at all these BlackRock people.
That's racist.
Yeah.
And here's the other problem I have. These are Marvel suits. Like, it's clear that James Gunn just brought over his Marvel people, and they're designing Marvel suits.
Oh God, I just thought of something. James Gunn is going to basically turn this into another Guardians of the Galaxy, and these guys are just going to be a bunch of smarmy, quick, quip slinging, jokesters. Essentially, they're going to be like adult children.
When did James Gunn become a one-trick pony? I just want to say that.
Well, I mean, it's like the Curse of Joss Whedon too, where like he started it. Like it worked really well in Buffy, but when you started pushing that in everything, it kind of lost its appeal.
And I'd argue it works in the Avengers. Like they're still like I will defend the Avengers. Not like I think Age of Ultron has some merit to it. But Avengers is a good movie.
Yeah. Well,
and it has
Tony Stark made the movie.
and the thing is, he wasn't really as quippy before Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
Like he kind of was, but Joss Whedon really kind of brought that out. And
Yeah.
I'd argue like a lot of the quips, like, let me know if True Power wants a magazine. Like, like, come on, that's a good burn.
Yeah, I honestly though, like, I think the first Avengers, like if it didn't have Robert Downey Jr. in it, I don't think it would have worked. You know, it's kind of like Star Wars. If it didn't have Han Solo, it wouldn't have worked.
I don't know. I think like if we're gonna talk about Star Wars, I think the reason it worked is literally everything coming together. It's not one thing that made Star Wars work. Like the music, the editing, like it was kind of a combination of everything. Like it's what is it? Like it's the sum of its parts is greater than its whole or whatever. I don't know. But like, and James Gunn has done good stuff. Like I think his script for Scooby-Doo is amazing. Like I think like he wrote the script for that Scooby-Doo movie, and it is a great kind of like loving satire of Scooby-Doo. I love that movie. But again, Scooby-Doo is not a James Gunn movie. Like there's so many other parts. Like all the actors, like this is what I love. Okay, what I love about Scooby-Doo is every actor knew exactly what movie they were in. Like if you watch the movie, all the actors they're not winking to the camera, but like they all know the movie they're in, and they give it their all. Still, I love it.
Yeah, chewing up the scene.
Yeah, but like I don't know, I kind of like it when there's scene chewing, but they're doing it earnestly. Like I don't kind of like oh we're chewing up the scenery, but winking to the camera, you know.
Well, like I think Taika Waititi or Taika David Cohen is real name. Like I don't think that like I think he tried to do that with the Thor movie, and it's like
I like Ragnarok. I think Ragnarok is good.
Love and Thunder, not so much.
Well, Love and Thunder was okay, Taika. We like you, so we're going to take the reins off, and that was a bad decision because you could tell they were holding him back in Ragnarok.
Well, it's what happens
Modern
when you
aesthetic.
have
yeah.
Well, you have these people that are so high off of their own farts that like they don't have any respect for the source. You know what I mean? Like a younger, I would say less experienced director would probably be like, oh my God, you know, the burden or the privilege of this amazing property is now in my hands. I better take care of it. Instead, they're like, I'm going to put my stink on it. I'm Taika Waititi.
No, it's even worse. It's like I want to put my stamp on it. Dear God, I hate that. I hate it when creators say that.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to like the what Peter Venkman fans like saying the whole modern aesthetic. Like,
yeah, I hate it.
I think on the whole there's been a bit of a rejection of the whole modern audiences, modern aesthetic.
Yeah,
people and I think that's kind of why people are looking back. And I'm desperately trying to tie this back into video games right now. Like I think that's why retro has become so popular. Is because people aren't being served by the modern stuff, so they look back on old stuff, and there's like that's why a lot of stuff is getting reevaluated. Like for example, the prequels are getting reevaluated and be like, okay, they're not that bad, you know, because,
could be worse,
but they're not that bad because the sequels prove it could be worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much Gunn's thing. Like that's why like Gunn uses he's like I like using obscure characters because then I could just like have them not be the character no one cares. I'm translating for you, by the way. That was what But this is a problem that Gunn's running into. Is Gunn is running into iconic characters. He can't do his usual Gunn shtick of taking an obscure character that no one cares about, create an original character, slap the name on there, and no one cares. You know, like if you say, "Oh, Bloodsport was this or that," no one cares because no one gives a shit about Bloodsport. You know, the first time they even heard Bloodsport was in Suicide Squad. You know, but you have the characters like Guy Gardner, Hawkgirl, Superman. You know, these are characters that people know and people love. Like, okay, Guy Gardner is a bit of a C-lister. Let's be honest. He is a bit.
He was the hated Green
Lantern. How dare!
How dare you? How dare I? Yeah. I mean, that's a little bit of the black pill, Dave, but I get what you're saying, for sure. But yeah, Guy Gardner, he's a C-lister, but
Dude, look
there are
at the
people who
hair.
care about him, like Nyx. Clearly one person
Dude.
cares about Guy Gardner.
Dude, that's Simple Jack from Tropic Thunder. Yo, mama, Mike, like, come on, like, this is a humiliation ritual. That is a very bad costume. I'm sorry.
Like, I get that Guy Gardner had like the bad haircut, but like, could you have made it less worse?
Well, they embellished it.
Look at his face. He's not happy.
Yeah, that's like a, like when I was
either.
a kid. Yeah, that's a humiliation.
By the way, I'm literally reading Nathan Fillion's mind. He's like, I am so firing my agent.
Yeah, who said this was a good idea?
Like, maybe that Madam Web girl has the right idea. I'm so firing my talent agency.
Well, dude, Nathan Fillion, man, that guy has definitely had an injustice in movies. Like, why wasn't there an Uncharted
his
movie?
whole entire career.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know. He goes into Firefly, which was an amazing series, and they
His
like
most iconic
role.
up. His most iconic role is a show that got canceled after 12 episodes. That is his most iconic role.
But like, imagine when, like, say 2 years after Uncharted, the original movie came out, they're like, "Hey Nathan, we're gonna make a movie starring you. It's about Nathan Drake." And
oh my god,
Nyx, he did a fan movie.
Film? Yeah, Nyx, have you seen the fan film?
No.
Oh my god, it is so good. My favorite moment is when he steps out of the mansion and they actually like have the angles from the video game.
Yeah,
and it works.
Yeah, well, I honestly think that Amy had. Yeah, well, I think Amy had Nathan Fillion in mind when he designed Nathan Drake.
I can see that.
Yeah, like he is he's your lovable Han Solo.
Oh god, Keely, no. I like the Arrowverse, but please, for the love of God, no. I mean, it's a dead universe. But like James Gunn being involved, like Arrowverse stuff. Oh God, no. But anyway, continue, please, Chris.
Yeah, I just honestly like he could be typecast as like the lovable scoundrel, and it works. And
no, please, God, no. Sorry.
Yeah, I would have preferred if we had an Uncharted movie with him instead of.
Can I be honest? Nathan would have been a perfect, like, if you did a Green Lantern movie in like 2003, Nathan Fillion would have been perfect for Hal.
Well, he voiced Hal in a bunch of the animated Warner Brother movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would have been perfect. But
did you know at one point Jack Black was supposed to play Green Lantern?
Oh God. The pick of destiny.
Yeah, but that was actually a thing that happened. It was supposed to happen.
Oh, yeah. He's like your lovable fat, like furry frat boy.
He's the non-threatening metalhead, whatever person.
Yeah. That's perfect. He's all sanitized and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, it's and basically, and it's the same thing with Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith is the non-threatening, sanitized geek.
Yeah, unfortunately, that guy's got waterworks problems, and I think all the talent that he had died with him when he had that heart attack. The joke was that what came back was not Kevin Smith, but a raging cuck monster.
No. No, when he lost his weight, he also like all the talent was stored in his fat cell. And when he lost the weight, he lost his talent.
Your options are type 2 diabetes and an amazing film career, or a long and healthy life and no talent. We know what choice he made.
Also, I do think getting off the weed did hamper him.
Yeah. Yeah, you look at like the original Clerks and Mallrats, and then you look at like Yoga Hosers and like the Walrus, and it's like these are not made by the same people.
Yeah, it's like that Avril Lavigne theory. Like, actually, there's been a doppelganger imposter that's been, whatever. Have you heard that theory? That
Yes, she died
that,
at one point.
Yeah, like a woman named Melissa took over or whatever. It's like the Paula's dead theory, but modernized.
Don't they have those kinds of theories for like every celebrity though? Like ever? I'm pretty sure I've heard that theory for a bunch of other celebrities too.
Yeah. But yeah, Power Rangers is in a really weird place right now where they're not really doing anything new with it. The toys, I don't know. The problem is the person who bought Power Rangers at Hasbro doesn't work there anymore. So like any enthusiasm, like Hasbro clearly doesn't know what to do with Power Rangers, and partially they kind of don't want to work with it.
Well, they don't know what to do with any of their properties. I mean, look at what they did to Dungeons and Dragons.
Kevin Smith of 1997 would kick modern day Kevin Smith's ass.
Yep.
Oh God.
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I saw like the first 10 minutes of Clerks 3 and turned it off. Like, no. It wasn't even funny.
It's like American Pie reunion. It's like, let's get everyone back together, and now they're in their like their 30s. They're all adults now, but now they're trying to have these teenage shenanigans.
Yeah, it's just sad. Like, no one to hang it up.
Like American Wedding was such a good finale for the series. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
like,
it was
such a good capstone. And the thing is, they did American Pie 1, 2, and 3 kind of back to back to back. And by the time they did 3, they were still like fairly fresh. And it's like, okay, yeah, this is where they would go. These two people get married, and they have some shenanigans. Oh God.
Yeah.
Do you remember like the directed like video sequels they did for American Pie? Like American
the Naked Run. Yeah.
Band Camp. Like, it's like they had the guy with the eyebrows. Like, okay, I'm making my cameo for this.
Just to. Yeah, that was just to like solidify that it was part of the American Pie universe or whatever.
American Pieverse, the Pieverse.
Yeah, the Pieverse. Eugene Levy's like, I'll do anything for a paycheck.
I mean, he's a great actor. Eugene Levy is a very as far as a comedic actor, he's very underrated in my opinion.
Dude, he's one of the OGs. He was on FCTV with Rick Moranis, John Candy, like back in the day.
Oh yeah,
the Canadian.
I want Rick Moranis to come back so bad.
Yeah,
like he's dipped his toes in. Like I know he did that Mint Mobile commercial. I guess he did like a cameo as Dark Helmet on like the Goldsteins or something. Apparently they wanted him to come back for Ghostbusters, but he declined or whatever.
Oh, that's too bad. Man. Yeah. The guy's
Chuck Dixon. Wow. Well, the problem is Chuck Dixon is he's persona non grata for mainstream. He's I'm sorry, I'm a huge Chuck Dixon fan, so I got to defend my boy. But like he's just kind of persona non grata. Oh my God! I was at a convention a few weeks ago. I was talking to this other guy who was kind of another like professional, and we were talking about Chuck Dixon. And I was like, "Oh yeah, I love this stuff on Nightwing, blah blah blah." But like you could just tell he was like, "Oh, I don't want to talk about Chuck Dixon," but he's talking about his old stuff. So like he wasn't sure if I was like, "Oh, is this guy a racist or whatever?" I don't know.
Wait, but is that what it is? Chuck Dixon is a racist now? Is that what they labeled him?
He's pissed off the left because he refuses to back down. Well, I can personally say Chuck Dixon's a really nice guy. I've talked to him, I've interviewed him, but let's kind of wrap up here. Nick's has got to go. I've got to make dinner. So let's kind of say our final words, final pieces. Nick's anything what you got going on, and where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter. I'm Funny Girl Nix. We still call it Twitter because X is a dumb name.
No.
Yes. Awesome. Maybe next time. I don't know. I kind of want to wrap up because Nick's got to go. Chris. Where can people find you and what you got going on? Don't you have like a really good book that people should hear about?
Oh yeah. Check out InfiniteTaleChronicles.com.
Yes, hey, go ahead, sir.
Oh yeah. Check out InfiniteTaleChronicles.com for the latest news and updates on our second book. Book 2 should be coming out in a couple of months now. What I'm hoping to do is have some copies physically in hand for the Granite State Comic Con, which will be held at the middle end of September here in New Hampshire. And once I get those copies in my hand, then I'll start the mailing list. And then from there, go right into launching on Indiegogo, and then possibly onto Kickstarter, and then bam, straight over into Amazon.
Badass.
Sweet.
Yep. And then,
thanks for having me.
Yep. If you made it this far, please don't forget to like the video. Tomorrow, Nick Slug and I will be continuing our ventures in the Witcher 3 verse. And then, yeah. Tuesday, we'll continue playing Majora Mask and disappointing our friend Nix. And yeah. So thank you everyone for joining us. I really appreciate you. And remember, I can let you at the door. You're the ones to walk through it.